Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about all of the books I've read in February and my upcoming TBR for March. But let's start with all of the books I've read so far. I started February with finishing up the Claymore manga. I've read the last 6 volumes of this and this manga was amazing. If you've read any other mangas before, this is very similar to Berserk. It's like a dark fantasy manga. I've read the last 6 and I think I rated all of them 5 stars, but I'm not 100% sure. At least for the whole series, I think I rated almost all of them 5 stars, except for maybe 5 that I gave 4 stars. I did get a little bit of a burnout while reading this manga somewhere along halfway through, but I stopped reading it for a little while, and after continuing it, I fell in love with it again. If you don't know what this manga is about, it's about a world where there are Yoma, which are like monster beast type of things, and they prey on humans. So the humans made claymores. Those are all women who've transformed from being human to half Yoma by like injecting them, I think, with Yoma blood, and they get very powerful so they can fight back to the Yoma and protect the people. Overall, if you like dark fantasy, I would really recommend this series. Then the first actual book that I read in February was Love on the Brain by Ellie Hazelwood. I read this because it was almost Valentine's Day and I wanted to get in the spirit already. I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed my time in this book. It's a romance book, and honestly, if you're looking for like a little bit of a silly, funny romance, I would really recommend this. Then I finished up The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This was the book I was reading with my book club and I ended up rating it 3 stars. I think mostly this book wasn't just for me. The writing was beautiful and it was a very magical book. But I think I had my hopes up a little bit about the whole competition and it being really high stakes. But it ended up not being high stakes. It was more of a cozy, magical read. And if I had known that beforehand, I might have actually enjoyed this book a little bit more. So that's why I gave it 3 stars. Then I started my Throne of Glass journey. I read Throne of Glass first and I ended up rating it 4 stars. I'm taking it a little bit slow with this series because I think this is my most anticipated series to date. And I waited a year before starting reading this. So I'm taking it slow and I only read like 3 of the series in this month. This one I gave 4 stars. It was really fun and a really nice beginning of a fantasy series. It had a little bit of trial and the main character is an assassin. It was really fun to read something like this. Then I went straight into Crown of Midnight, the second book in the Throne of Glass series, and I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. I was a little disappointed in this book, though it isn't a bad read. I just had my hopes up a little bit too high, I think. I was hoping we would get more fantasy already in this book, and it gave a little bit of fantasy, but like really at the end of the book, so I was a bit disappointed by that. Then I read The Assassin's Blade, the 0.5th book in the series, like 0.5. It is a prequel of Throne of Glass. The publication order is reading this third, so I read it third, though I know a lot of people read this first. And after reading it, I can see why people recommend reading this first. I don't regret my decision on reading it third. I think I would enjoy them first and third either way. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars because I really enjoyed this book. It's like a short story book and the beginning started a little bit slow for me, like the first 2 short stories. But afterwards it really picked up the pace and the short stories were getting a little bit longer and a lot more emotional. So that's why I ended up rating this 4.5 stars. Then I read The Mist by Stephen King on my e-reader. This was another book club book, a little novella in between, and I ended up rating it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I've also seen the movie quite a long time ago, and I really enjoyed that one as well. But it was really nice to still read the book because it has a different ending. I really like horror overall, but I haven't read that many yet, so it was nice to read like a classic horror story, and I really enjoyed it. If you've seen the movie, I would still recommend reading it because the ending is different and it was really good. And then the last book I actually read physical this month was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I was kindly gifted this book by a friend on my birthday, and it's been quite a few months since my birthday, so I finally read it and I absolutely loved the read. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It read like a literary fiction, though I do not know which genre this book really falls into. It was a really unique story in which we're following like a girl who gets really famous, gets a lot of attention online, gets a lot of money, and how it changes like her whole life. There were also some mystery aspects into this because I think she stumbled upon a giant sculpture, a 10-foot tall transformer wearing a suit of samurai armor, and she's like trying to find out what these things are doing all over the world. So a lot of mystery aspects as well, which I really enjoyed. The read started a bit slow for me, but like halfway through I couldn't put the book down anymore, and I really enjoyed the ending as well. Then I also listened to a few audiobooks this month, starting with Bryony and Roses by T. Kingfisher. I ended up rating it 3.5 stars at the time, but probably now I would actually give it 3 stars. It's like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which was kind of cute, but overall the story was just fine in my opinion. The only thing that was like keeping me engaged was that it kind of reminded me of ACOTAR. The first book is also like a little bit of a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And I've been listening to a few audiobooks by T. Kingfisher, trying to find like the ones that I would really enjoy, but for so far all of her books felt a little bit mid for me, so I probably won't listen to any more of the audiobooks. But I've got 3 more books by T. Kingfisher physically, so I'll probably read some of them. Then I've reread or re-listened, however you want to call it, the 4th book in the ACOTAR series, the novella A Court of Frost and Starlight. And the first time I read it, I rated it 4 stars, changed my mind and gave it 3 stars. But after listening to it on audio now, I upped my rating back up to 4 stars. I think at the time I ended up rating it 3 stars, mostly because I was comparing it a lot to the other books in the series, and I haven't really read that many books at the time yet. But after reading a lot of more books, like in a year time, I definitely think it's better than most books I rate 3 stars, so I upped the rating to 4 stars. After that, I listened to Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I listened to a lot of her books because I really enjoyed like her thriller books, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. I think this is one of my favorites of her books so far that I've listened to, especially because of the ending. So if you're looking for like a fun thriller, Frida McFadden has a lot of them, but I think Never Lie is one of her better ones. And then lastly, I listened to Two Can Play by Ellie Hazelwood. This was a really short audiobook, a little bit over 4 hours I believe, and I ended up rating it 3 stars. It was nice, but nothing really that special. I couldn't really focus on the story really well at the beginning, but after like an hour, I did get really good into the book. But I don't know, there were just some little silly misunderstandings that were really typical for overall romance books, I think. And when the love really started to develop, it was cute, but nothing that special. The only thing that I really liked about it was that it's about like 2 people in the industry of the gaming world, and I myself game a lot, so I really like listening or reading things about video games, and they also were talking a bit about video games, which I really enjoyed, but the rest of the book was a little bit mid for me. So I've read 7 physical books / ebooks this month, and I've read 6 manga, and I ended up listening to 4 audiobooks. In my opinion, a pretty good month for me myself, and I think I've been feeling like a little bit of a slump, especially at the end of January, so I think mainly Throne of Glass is really bumping it up again for me and really getting me back into reading, which is really nice. But let's get into my TBR for March and mostly my hopeful books I'll be able to read. Starting with my current read, I just started reading Swift and Settled by Lila Sage. This is the second book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. It's a cowboy romance series, and I've already read the first book like almost half a year ago. I think I rated it 3 stars or something. It was nothing that special, but it's a quick and fun read, so I thought let's begin the month with something like this. Then we've got The Last Bookshop by Evie Woods. This is my book club book for this month. To be honest, I'm not that sure what the book is about, but I usually like going into books pretty blind. It's about books, and I tend to like books that are about books. It's a literary fiction, and I'm really excited to start this. And then I'm going to continue my Throne of Glass series. I took a little break at the end of February, but I'm planning to read the next 3 books in the series, which is Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, and Empire of Storms. I know a lot of people really like Queen of Shadows, so I'll have to go through Heir of Fire before, but I'm hoping it's already going to be a really good book. And then I'm thinking on taking maybe another small break until the last 2 books in the series, which I probably want to read somewhere in April, maybe the month after. I haven't thought of any more books I actually do want to read in this month, but I am going to listen to some audiobooks this month as well, and I already started A Court of Silver Flames, which I'll be probably finishing up in March. I'm having a really good time so far, but I'm not that far into it yet. If I'll be able to finish this completely and got some time left more, I'll probably listen to another Frida McFadden book because I really enjoy my time in listening to thrillers on audio, and I'll probably listen to The Inmate, I think. I got a few more of her books on Audible already purchased, so I've got a little selection, but I'm thinking I'll listen to this one first. For mangas, I'm not so sure yet on which I'll be reading this next month. I might even not read any mangas for the next month because I really want to go into more of the Throne of Glass books, and I might even finish the whole series if I'm really gripped into the story, but we'll see so far, and I'll let you guys know next month in my wrap up. If you like this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of me, don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!